Hello and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and with me, of course, is the third-eyed mystic herself, the ever-so-lovely Niema.
Hello.
Hello to you. How are you doing this evening, Niema?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I am hot, I am sweating, and I have the fan
Oh,
on. So if you guys
oh, boo.
if you guys hear some background noise, it's most likely the fan. Is it hot where you are right now?
Right now, actually, the past 2 days we've had rain, but it is still hot and humid.
You know what? We have a very good show tonight. I mean, it's an intriguing one. It's going to be confusing, but it's going to be a lot of fun as well. And before we get into the main topic, let's go over a couple little small smaller things that's been happening the past few weeks. First up, you know who Amelia Earhart is, right?
Yes, I do.
So, what if I told you that 80 years ago, when she and her navigator, Fred Noonan, well, when everyone thought they crashed and died, well, what if they didn't?
Conspiracy?
Yeah, okay, so this is where things get interesting. Investigators from History Channel claim to have uncovered a never before seen photo that they believe shows Amelia Earhart and her navigator alive and in Japanese custody after surviving the plane crash. Now, I saw the photo, and I'm by no means an expert, and I couldn't tell jack squat from it. I mean, I linked you a couple of stories, and I'm assuming you saw the photo.
Yes, I did see the photos and the comparison to them, and I think it's true. I'm I'm betting this whole conspiracy is actually correct.
Oh, you're a believer, huh?
I'm a believer.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that from you. I thought you were gonna say, "Yeah, I don't see it either." You know, when I see this, I don't know. I don't see anything. I just see people who just, well, one chick kind of has her head turned, and the guy, he could just be anyone. I mean, he looks like he has a rock face for all I know.
Did you see the recordings of the veterans who witnessed it?
I did not see that. What's happening there?
Okay, so I guess there was a few veterans who actually toured the island that they supposedly dragged her plane with her and her co-pilot onto. And I guess they were recovering that and they found her suitcase. And yeah, they said that they actually saw her. Like, there's a few recordings of the natives on that island saying that they saw, oh, a white woman and the guy, yada, yada, yada.
Well, suddenly things got interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to send you the link to the video that I watched because it includes all of those recordings into it.
All right. Now, something else of interesting note is that people are claiming that the U.S. government knew that they were still alive and they covered it up for whatever reason. Like, yeah, that's where the conspiracy part of this comes from. The government knew and they covered it up. They didn't try and rescue them for who knows what. Do you think the government knew?
Well, in that case, I think the story is that they wanted to cover it up because the Japanese had captured Amelia and they thought that she was a spy trying to fly over whatever it was. So they captured her, and I guess she's going to be put in whatever. So they probably didn't want the U.S. to know that she got caught. If that's the case, if she was indeed a spy.
If that is the case, it's a sucky end to a legend.
Yeah, seriously.
So, and I linked you something else. Some people who are claiming that the photo in question of Amelia Earhart and her navigator, according to them, they say that the photo was taken 2 years before Amelia Earhart even took off in her plane that allegedly crashed. How do you feel about that?
The photo.
That allegedly shows her and Fred at that with all the Japanese in what appeared to be some type of camp or something.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. The only photo I saw was consistent of three different photos, and it was them getting towed to the island, and they were coming back with them to the island, and then their plane was being towed as well. So I'm not sure.
Well, you know what? I will quote Fox Mulder from one of my favorite shows, The X-Files. The truth is out there, Scully. So, hopefully, over the coming months, more details about that will come out, and, we'll get a definitive answer if it is her, if it isn't her, if the U.S. was involved in a cover-up, and if they weren't. Chances are, if it is her, then yeah, the U.S. government was definitely involved in some type of cover-up. Unfortunately, our government's just crooked like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, towards the end of last month, we were speaking about cryptids and if they're real or not. Well, what if I told you that a Texas park ranger has just added to the mystery of the cryptid Bigfoot, aka Sasquatch?
Wait, what do you mean?
3 images were captured at Freeman Park, Old Settlers Park, and Brushy Creek Trail between June 8th and June 10th. 2 of the images look simply like footprints, but a third photo, which also features an average person's foot for scale, shows the muddy footprints of the other 2 are quite large. Now, the Rangers aren't saying it's Bigfoot, but they're also not saying it's a random dude with massive feet. So, in other words, they're claiming that they have evidence of Bigfoot, and they got some random person's normal size foot next to it to show you how big said foot actually is. Now, I have a problem with this.
Why?
I'm going to tell you why. Yeah, no. And this is definitely a problem which I think a lot of people would have. So, the Rangers admitted that they have cameras at these parks. And they're always running, this and that. They take photos of whatever. So, my issue is, why is it that the camera somehow captured an image of a footprint, but not of the creature that left said footprint?
Right.
It's like, come on. Really? Come on, guys. You got to do better than that. I don't understand that. So, are you telling me that Bigfoot is somehow invisible? He has the power to just cloak himself and just walk around?
Nerd.
You said nerd. So, anyway, I don't know about that. Even though I'm a believer in Bigfoot, I don't believe that these park rangers captured anything but them pulling a publicity stunt. So, Niema, are you a believer or non-believer in Mr. Foot?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't see why not.
Oh, come on, add more to it than that.
I've seen some of the videos, and it just looks like an ape gorilla. Like the Bigfoot, And I think that's very possible. So I don't see, what the big deal is.
I'll go with that. Something else of interest, and I linked you this video, so I know you saw this one. On June 12, 2017, a UFO or UFOs were captured under the Arizona night sky. The lights at one point of the said UFO slash UFOs, I don't know if it was one or two because sometimes they break apart, sometimes they come back together. But anyway, the lights on this thing at one point fade out only to pop back up in a new location under the night sky. And it was pretty crazy. Nima, what do you think about that video?
The UFO capture in Arizona and LA, I think it's very accurate. I mean, I just was in the bookstore the other day and I had seen a book that was basically saying there's a conspiracy that there's a UFO highway going through California, LA, or Arizona, and somewhere near Mexico, like all throughout, and they lay out the whole freeway, and it basically records every captured UFO.
You know what? That could be possible, depending on ley lines and what UFOs actually do to travel. Like, we know that they don't have an exhaust that we can see, so they're not using some type of combustion. So what if they're using some type of electromagnetic energy that powers the UFO, which if that's the case, then they might be able to manipulate wormholes or something like that. So where there's a spot with a lot of energy, they might be able to just go there and zoop, zoop, in and out real quick.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you ever seen a UFO? I don't think you have, right?
I feel like I've seen blinking lights before. I feel like I see a lot of that, and I'll stare at it for a while, and sometimes it'll just disappear, and then it'll reappear. And I've been with one of my friends, and we always see stuff like that, but I never,
You just paid no attention.
Well, we're just tripping out about it, but we're not like recording it or.
Oh man, you got to get on that. You have to, hey, you're part of Unexplained Possibilities now. You got to record this.
I know. Now I'm gonna feel obligated to pull over and start recording.
Well, don't feel obligated, but feel obligated. But yeah, that's pretty cool though. Now the blinking lights, as long as they're not planes.
Oh right, yeah, because those are obvious.
Yeah. So well, sometimes the UFOs they'll actually morph or pretend to be planes. They'll mimic them to better blend in. Although I also, not to scare you, but I have heard stories that say if you notice a UFO and stuff, chances are they've noticed you as well, and they're going to get your attention.
Huh.
And taking it a step further, some UFOs are actually organic in nature, a type of organic technological being, and it runs off of thoughts, so to speak. So they are, I guess you could say, flying psychics. So if you notice it and it hasn't noticed you, but you put that thought out there like, oh my God, or is that what I think it is? Or please don't see me, or whatever. They know. There is a good chance, though, that if you notice them, they'll notice you.
That's interesting. Just hope it's not grays. If it's grays, if it's something else other than grays, then I guess that's cool, because I feel like grays are more crazy.
Well, no, that's kind of a bit of a misconception with grays. First of all,
Really?
it's more than one type of gray. You have Zeta grays, Orion grays, and the whites and the blues and all that stuff. It's just so many different stories about them. It gets mixed up, and it's hard to separate what's from what. For instance, Rose, she actually has contact with Zeta Grays, and she said nothing but nice things about them, and they've helped her, spiritually grow and understand the world a bit more, and, just nothing but positive things. And then sometimes what happens is, too, we project our fear of them and we see stuff that's not really there, or we already have a preconceived notion of them. And, it's not entirely true because we're panicking. It's like, oh man, I'm looking at this thing. It looks totally different from anything else I've ever seen, all that stuff. But
Hmm.
for the most part, grays, they're whatever. They're just about their business. They pop up, they do their thing, and they leave. That's not to say that all extraterrestrials are, super super cool and they're going to be your buddy and stuff. Much like people, you have your pricks as well. But grays being scary and things like that, no. What happens is they will erase your memory, or they try to hide themselves from you because of panic and fear, because they just look so much different than what we're used to, and it's hard for the mind to accept that.
Hmm.
And then sometimes people, they say like, oh, what are they doing to me and all this stuff. This is where I get iffy on them. um, where they say sometimes it's like it's going to help humanity, and you're going to be a savior, whatever. They're just stroking your ego. That mess I could do without. But at the same time, you know, what's the point in trying to communicate what they're doing to you when you're not going to understand it anyway? I mean, you could try to, but you're not. Much like when we get a tiger who's severely injured, well, that tiger is going to be awfully upset. So you just want to work as fast as possible to save its life. And you're not going to communicate to the tiger, hey, buddy, man, we're trying to save your life. And, we're going to operate here, here, and here. And it's going to help you in the long run. You're not going to do that.
That's true.
You're just going to try and get them and try not to get cut or bit, and you're going to operate and do what you have to do to save his life, and then release him back. So I kind of say they're doing the same thing.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, so you know that's just me though.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to this next topic here, well, not a topic, but something that's been happening to you, or rather something we've been capturing on recordings, have been a couple of EVPs.
Yep. People popping in to say hi.
That's what it certainly seems like. Now, in our last podcast, I found three EVPs. Two of them I'm still somewhat unsure of, but the first one I found, I am 100% sure of. That is a spirit speaking. Niema, what was your thoughts on it when I told you that, hey, I think I caught an EVP here?
Okay. Well, I never really considered the idea that, I mean, it would ever come through, but sure enough, when you sent it to me and I listened to it, I'm like, wow, really caught something here. That's interesting. So, uh, after we messed around with it and my friend helped out, I was really trying to figure out who it was. And the only thing that I could think of is it must have been my father or my great grandma. The younger voice, the second thing that we caught, I'm totally don't know who that is. I don't know if it's me. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I haven't uploaded the second EVPs yet, but if you do want to hear the first one, it's on Unexplained Possibilities YouTube channel, so it's marked EVP, possible EVP, and it's only about a minute 30 seconds long video, and most of it's just me giving some backstory or something. So just skip to the last 30 seconds if you just want to hear the stuff and like shut up, Melvin. But I think it's something. I don't know what, but the second set of EVPs though, I don't know, man. That one was weird because one of them sounded like a little girl to me.
Yeah, the second capture, right?
Yes. And it was kind of freaky. I can't really make out what it was saying. And the other one that we caught on there, I think it it laughed after it said something like repent, ha ha ha, or something, or contend, ha ha ha. I mean, I don't know.
What? So that one that said repent, was it like a male? Was it
That sounded
masculine?
like a male to me.
Oh, okay.
That one sounded like a guy. Like it was distinctly different from the first one we caught, but it sounded like a guy, and then the final one that sounded like a little girl. But the one that had that ha ha ha,
Maybe it was like the same being and it just changed its voice like drastically. That'd be kind of creepy.
I mean, it's possible. Or it could just be an audio glitch. That's also possible. Not ruling that out either. But I think I'm more convinced though that the repent or depend ha ha ha. I'm somewhat convinced that's legit, and I think it's a male.
Okay.
So, but I just can't make out that first word. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to really hear it, but I do know the laugh though. So, so found something funny. So repent, whatever. So I'm going to listen to that a bit more.
Yeah, I wish we could slow it down and like enhance it more somehow because when I'm listening to it, I can't hear anything except the second one.
Well, what I'll do then, like I can slow it down more, but well, you'll see. I'll slow it down even more, and you'll see. You'll be like, "Oh, okay, I see why you didn't do this."
Oh, all right. Well, I don't know.
We'll figure it out, but I still think it's just interesting. But not as interesting as something that you did or had happen to you, was it last week or the week before, where you partially astral projected?
Yeah, so I'm a big time dreamer. Like, I remember a lot of my dreams, and sometimes
Have I been in your dreams?
huh?
Have I been the star of one of your dreams?
No,
Well,
not
shoot. Your dreams suck.
okay. Well, I mean, you could pop in anytime, you just have to travel in the astral realm, pop into my dreams.
Man, I get lost going to the bathroom. No, I'm good.
Right. But yeah, so I'm big time dreamer. So, and sometimes I can astral project, which basically means I just fall right out of my body and I float around. So I think it was last week I was traveling and I was in California and I felt myself leaving my body when I was asleep. And naturally, when you astral project, you get like an intense wave of fear come over you because, of course, it's a freaky thing for your consciousness to actually leave your physical body. And so that kind of makes it difficult to actually get all the way out. And so when I was leaving, I kind of had that wave of fear wash over me, but I was still able to kind of sit up in my bed. And across from me, there was a like staticky light being, and it had a weird automated voice that I could hear. And I couldn't make out what it was saying. I feel like it was saying no, like it didn't want me to come out of my body or something. I don't know. But it was right by my bed, and it kind of freaked me out because that's the second time that I've had that automated voice come through. The first time was in an actual dream, and then the second time I was astral projecting. So kind of weird.
It's no kinda. So how did that? Well, you said that it freaked you out, but deeper than that, like, how are you feeling afterwards? Like, when you got a moment to think about it.
Um, well, I mean, I kind of feel okay about it because, like, I've astral projected before. I've never gone to like other realms or anything, but I've actually come out of my body. So that wasn't necessarily weird to me. And uh, I've seen people, usually when I do astral project, there's like people by my bed or there's people around in the house, like spirits or whatever they are. So that didn't weird me out, but the automated voice it sounds kind of creepy. Like it sounds like it's trying to say a communication through somewhere else. So that was kind of weird to me.
Hmm.
But I feel fine. I mean, it's just another day.
I'm glad you're just rambling it up. Like, yeah, it's just another day. No worry. No big deal. It's cool.
Yeah, it happens.
So, but that is, it's freaky and cool at the same time, because when you think about astral projection and your soul temporarily leaving your body and going to that, I guess you could say, other type of dimension, or maybe not even a different dimension, but you're just non-corporal and dealing with that. I mean, it would be intense to me, that feeling, and then coming back into yourself and knowing, like, whoa, it's more to it than this physical body that I initially thought.
Yeah. Mhm.
So the being or entity, whatever you want to call it, you said it was staticky like?
Right. It was kind of like, how do I explain the images in my head. It's just like, so kind of like an outline of someone's face and body made out with white energy dots, like kind of like a static energy dots outlining a person or a being, something.
I see what you're saying. And it's almost like you just couldn't fully comprehend what it looked like almost.
Right, because it didn't look like a person, someone on Earth. Because I mean, I've woken up and I've seen what a person, or what I classify as a person would look like. So it definitely wasn't that. It wasn't just floating energy. It wasn't a black figure. It's just an outline and very outlined energy. And the face was outlined and everything. So
You know what you're going to have to do now?
what?
You're going to have to figure out how to astral project on command and go back there, and when you come to, write everything down that you see, just right then and there. Like, no stopping, just do it and report back to us.
I know. I actually tried to do that because I was like, okay, well, I know we're going to discuss it. So I did try yesterday, but I was just hovering. I wasn't doing anything exciting, so it kind of sucked.
I don't think hovering outside your body sucks. I think that's actually quite interesting. You are the only person in the world who will say, oh yeah, it kind of sucked. I was just hovering around. I was looking at my body. I was like, hey, I'm looking cute. Oh my God, is that a zit?
Yeah, exactly. I get so upset though because like it really interests me, and I've been, studying it ever since my first couple of experiences. But it sucks because I feel like I'm still stuck on the third dimension, like the earth plane,
Mm-hmm.
not or the earth plane dimension, and I hear all these cool stories about people just floating all the way up and going to different realms and talking to all these beings, and I'm just stuck here.
Well, like anything, these things take time. Just like how you train your muscles and over time you get stronger and you're able to do more. Same principle. It just takes time, and The more you practice, the more you train, the stronger you're going to get, the more you understand, and the further out you'll most likely go.
Hmm.
That's how you have to look at it. Don't get upset or frustrated. I mean, I would say the first victory is you being able to do it almost on command. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
I mean, like, really think about that. You know how many people try to astral project, but they just can't do it?
Huh.
It's just something to think about.
Yeah.
But you know who could astral project, and he went a couple of places in the universe and spoke to a couple of different entities as well? Edgar Cayce.
Yeah. Wait, so he talked to different entities? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he spoke to well, I'll get there in a second.
Mhm.
It's a lot with him.
Right.
So Edgar Cayce, also known as the Sleeping Prophet, was a man born in the late 1800s, and he's primarily known for giving predictions, and he's given a lot of predictions, but he would also talk about reincarnation, he would talk about healing, he would talk about extraterrestrial beings, or one group in particular. He's just an overall very interesting guy, and his teachings are still practiced today. He also spoke about Atlantis, which is one of the more curious topics, because Atlantis is just so popular. It's been around. The idea and the theory of Atlantis, it's been around for many, many years, and I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere. So what is it about Edgar Cayce that you like so much?
I think he's just very influential. I think he followed his gut feeling ever since he was young and kind of just went with it. And that's very admirable.
Like, what do you mean by gut feeling?
Like natural his natural calling, his natural gifts. So they said when he was a kid, he used to see auras and stuff like that. And I think it was very easy, or not necessarily easy. I'm sure he had some, like he was seeing colors as a young child, and then he grew up and started to just embrace that gift of being in tune with other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, he just went with it and started being a psychic, started doing readings, opened up his hospital, and kind of just went with the flow.
And is that what you do?
No, definitely not. I try. Now that I'm more intuitive, I try and listen to it, but I'm definitely not on the page of listening to every instinct I get.
Something else about Edgar Cayce, and I'm not sure if I actually agree with this or not, but his views on karma, are you familiar with those views?
Go ahead.
He believed that karma was the purpose to assist us and come into place of balance and eventual state of love and oneness. In other words, instead of what goes around comes around, it's more of a balancing act. Like, okay, so right now, more bad things are happening to you than good things, but your karma's going to come around and balance it out, and you're going to have equal bad with the equal good. And I'm not personally a believer in karma in that sense.
Hmm.
Oh, and that's the other thing. He viewed karma sometimes as it would affect not just an individual, but people as a whole, as society, as nations, and not just an individual. So, for instance, the U.S., we've done many, many bad things over the years, and as a country, we're all going to get punished for it versus the individuals in charge who committed said bad crimes and stuff like that. And I don't believe in group karma, if that makes sense. I believe in individual karma, And I don't believe it's a balancing act per se. I believe it's whatever energy you put out there, it's going to come back to you.
Right. Yeah. Karma's like it's a weird subject. There's a lot that goes into it.
But yeah, so what do you think of his views on that?
Uh, I mean, from what I read in his Akashic Records book, I know he stated that it was his karma that he had to work out from him being like a kind of like an asshole magician or whatever, and taking advantage of people and people going to him for help. So now he was kind of self-sacrificing himself in that way. I mean, I guess, if that's his term on karma, if that works out for him and it balances his energy, then all the power to you.
Now, you just mentioned his book, Akashic Record, also known as the Book of Life. It's supposed to be a recording of all of our deeds, everything we've said, done, what we've been doing throughout this life. And, that's just, that's the one thing I'm just like, I don't think so, bub. Because, I don't know. I guess it goes along with the judgment thing. I mean, and the way Edgar Cayce is saying it's in tune with his Christian beliefs. And as you know, in a lot of Christian beliefs, Catholicism, you're always being watched, you're being judged, and it's going to determine if you make it into heaven or not. St. Peter's at those pearly gates, and he has this big book, and he's like, oh, let's go over your deeds here and there. And, I'm very much against the idea that you're chosen to go here or there based off of your life here. If you did this many good deeds versus this many bad deeds and stuff like that, it's just a personal belief of mine that comes into conflict with what he's teaching, because I don't agree with Christianity. That's simple.
Yeah, I think Christianity kind of puts a damper on a lot of things.
So, and I think that's where the influence came from for his how do you say that word again?
Akashic Records.
Akashic Records. I think that played a huge
I might
part.
be saying it wrong too, but yeah. It kind of baffled me too. But so he's been having been raised in or Christian. He has very Christian beliefs. However, I feel like in some ways it kind of contradicts the Akashic Records and stuff like that, because I feel like Christianity is kind of point blank, and Akashic Records, especially in the book, it basically just goes through, it's what everyone's ever done, but it's in a much more, not necessarily judgment circumstance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more loving. I feel like it's a more loving basis. Like, okay, so you fucked up here and you did this. So now you have to learn this lesson a different way, or whatever it is. I don't know how to explain it. It's just more of a growth love thing. And I feel like with Christianity, people are more judgmental, turn or burn, hell type of thing.
I think I get what you're saying. So, Christianity basically, do this amount of good deeds, you'll get here and you're rewarded. Whereas, how you're seeing I hate this word.
Akashic Records.
Thank you. How you see those, it's more like, learn your lesson from this. Like, we're gonna record it and we're gonna see what you learned from it.
Right, and it comes from a place of like loving, like like clearly everybody fucks up, clearly nobody's perfect. So we're not going to judge you, but we're going to say, okay, so you went through this, like what did you learn from it, and how can you grow, and how can you move on?
You know what? If you guys listen to the podcast with Kelly Ferguson, we actually had a discussion on something similar to that, and she was saying that in the afterlife, there are times where you can actually view your life and you discuss it and you see what you did, what you messed up on, what you didn't mess up on. And I linked it to a movie, a really funny movie that I still recommend everyone sees because I think you'll understand I'm just going to say the book of life better. And it's called Defending Your Life. A guy passes away and he's pretty much being judged, and not judged per se. It's just to see if he'll move on, if he's ready to move on to the next level or a higher plane of existence, or if he should repeat his life on Earth or not. And they're going through significant events in his life, seeing what he learned, if he showed he was brave or not, and blah, blah, blah. It's a great movie, and I think it has tie-ins with what Edgar Cayce is saying about the Book of Life. So, Niema, put that on your list of films to watch.
Okay.
Now, you probably really like this, and that's before I get into that, I do want to say Edgar Cayce has written a lot of books.
Yeah, are they from his society or something? I feel like, because the books I'm reading, they're totally written by someone else.
Yeah, okay, so he's written books, but some of them were re-released, and then some of them are from his organization.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a mix. But he's written a few, but then there are like 100 other ones that are from his organization, which I'm kind of disappointed with because they're not supposed to charge for his teachings and things of that nature. He specifically said he did not want them to do that, and they're doing it. So it looks like they are becoming um, greedy and corporate, unfortunately.
What specific teachings?
All of them. Like his book
All of
sales
them.
and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, they're not supposed to charge for his books and all that because he wanted them available to everyone without charge. And initially they were for a good while, but then they started to charge for them. You know, I understand that organizations, they have bills they have to pay. I do get that, but that's why you have events. That's why you get sponsorships. And I mean, it's a nonprofit organization anyway, so it's a lot of things they don't have to pay. You know, their taxes are different. You know, they can get grants and things of that nature. So I don't know what's up with them.
Okay. It's a valid point.
Yeah, so, but that's just my little ramble. Ignore me. Ignore the man behind the curtain.
No, we should definitely email them and figure this out, you know?
Now, Edgar Cayce was a pretty big believer and talker of the seven universal laws. And thanks to you, I actually
Oh,
know what those are now. You know, so thank you for teaching me about that because I wasn't a dum-dum when I was reading about his thoughts and views on them. But
huh. That's
one law
cool.
in particular he was very strong about, and this comes into play with Cayce being a healer, and some of his healing techniques or remedies I'm not so sure about, such as castor oil.
Okay.
Yeah, he recommended castor oil for a lot of stuff, and I don't know about that. Have you ever tried it?
I'm not positive as to what did he prescribe it for exactly?
Pretty much everything.
Hey, you just gotta have that one ingredient that's universal, like goes with everything.
Yeah, but you know what though? This is if you guys listen to my little top 10 quick facts about him, you couldn't just use it. Like he said that castor oil and the body had a connection, but you had to have the right frame of mind in order for it to actually work.
Yeah, I feel like that's the same with everything, though. That's like with a lot of medicine, and stuff and sickness.
So, and that was his thing. It was all about mindset, you know? And let me go back to the healing and the vibrations. The law of vibrations was something he was particularly keen in, and it went along with his healing. And that's one of the major things he wanted to be remembered as, was a healer, not someone who did predictions or went into trances. He wanted to be known as a healer. He wanted to help people. And, you
Hmm.
know, he explained that healing is a matter of shifting to a higher vibration, and the importance of being aware of our vibration and how prayer and meditation raise our vibrations.
Hmm.
You know, so in other words, if you want to heal yourself, you know, you have to get into that mindset and raise yourself to that higher level, and you will heal. And I think he meant more so on a spiritual level than physical, because the physical body is going to heal no matter what. But the spiritual body, when it's fractured and it's not whole, you know, how do you heal that?
Right.
You know, like, you know, Niyama, just you could jump in and say whatever you want as well. You don't have to follow my lead.
I'm just like, imagining all of this. I'm just okay.
All right. But yeah, so I think that's fascinating actually, because I the law of vibration was one of the things I was just confused about, but seeing someone or reading that he used it for healing purposes and explained it that way, it's like, oh, okay, I can see that. And vibrations are also, you know, they're known to be able to, you can go to a higher level. I know energy shifting is a thing. Kelly Ferguson was telling me about that with the energy shifting, which,
The Reiki or Reiki healing, or
oh,
is
no,
that the
no,
same thing? Or
no, there is a difference.
oh,
Yes, apparently there is a difference. But do you do
hmm.
Reiki?
um, no, I have a very close friend who's certified in it, and my past reading they said I should look into it, but no, I've never experienced that before.
Oh, well, darn. You suck. Now here I am, like, ooh. But how do you feel about that, though? His advice on healing and him being a healer.
Uh, I mean, I feel like he has some very is a very important thing, especially when you're going through any type of sickness, like that's very mild, say headaches or the flu or something really minor. I think what he's trying to get at is basically your thoughts create your reality. So if you feel like you're going to be sick for a few weeks, then of course, your thoughts help create. So you might as well be sick for however weeks, or you're going to feel depressed or whatever's going on. It's all in a lot of it thoughts and what you think about yourself. And if you're in a negative mindset, then that's just going to add to the sickness. And if you're in a positive mindset, like, oh, I'm going to feel better tomorrow, then that's going to contribute to you healing. And then with the prayer thing, I mean, I don't necessarily have Christian beliefs, but um, when you say, oh, like he's talking about prayer and meditation, that's definitely a mind thing. So meditating, you're sitting in a room, you're meditating, you're alone in your mind, you're alone in your thoughts. And so what you should be thinking and what you should be quotation mark praying about is, oh, I'm going to feel great tomorrow, I'm going to feel good, I'm going to do this and that and the third. Like, it should all be positive thinking. And I think that's what he's trying to get out without being spiritually attached to Christianity, so to speak.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But in regards to prayer, you know, it transcends Christianity. It's not just an Abrahamic religious belief. It
Yeah. What personally, like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think prayer goes out to like, do you think there has to be a tons of people who pray to like Buddha and all those saints and stuff like that,
Yeah,
and
people
angels and
pray to their ancestors and their pets. I mean, it.
oh.
Yeah, it's more to it than that. It's just because we live in a Christian society. I mean, 70% of the U.S. it's Christian. We have influence from Christianity, whether we like it or not, whether we notice it or not. So, no matter what, we initially recognize that before, say, Islam or Voodoo or some Voodoo, things of that nature, Hinduism. But yeah, with prayer though, it's many different prayers, and it doesn't just mean like praying to the divine for something. It's putting your thoughts, your hopes, and your dreams, your wants, your needs out there into the universe more so than anything. And it's a form of getting your energy out and hoping it comes back to you twofold.
Mm-hmm.
Because in prayer, it's for someone to pray, usually they're desperate and you're putting out that energy as a last resort. Sometimes it comes back and sometimes it doesn't.
Hmm.
Or when it comes back, it's when you least expect it.
Yeah.
Like, does that explain anything at all?
I know growing up, I just like, once you hear the word, I'm thinking, oh my God, like I have to go praise to this person that,
Yeah, you see, and that's the difference. There's a difference between worship and prayer.
Okay. Or I have to ask this being in the sky for stuff that I want, or like stuff that I want to happen. Like I have to go up to him.
Yeah, the invisible sky daddy.
Yeah.
There's a difference between worship and prayer. Sometimes it's interchangeable, sometimes it isn't. I use them completely separately. Like usually when you worship, it's because you believe in some type of supreme deity, deities, whichever. Whereas prayer, even though it can be directed towards a deity, I interpret it as putting your energies out into the universe and hoping that it answers.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope I said that right. I always try to sound somewhat intelligent on these things, and usually it backfires. But I have you to back me up.
Yeah, you can only get smarter by communicating and having these types of conversations. So
Another law, and I'm gonna ask you this one because this has to do with the law of attraction. Edgar Cayce, he was once asked what his views on love were and how a person can find love. And one of his answers was love attracts love, and you have to put it out there to get it back. And it's essentially the law of attraction. And what is your opinion on that in regards to love?
I feel like what he just said, love attracts love, you just have to put it out there. Like that's kind of a runaround answer. um, yeah. So, right. So if you want a specific, you got to know what you define as love in order for you to attract love. So, and I think a lot of people's definitions of love are very different and they're not formulated all the time the best that they should be. So, yeah.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay, go ahead.
What's your definition of love?
Jeez. I don't think mine is, I don't think love can ever be specifically defined. And I'm just growing and learning what I consider love to be and what it truly, I don't think people will ever know what love truly is. Um, I think it's just it's got to be like something that's very unconditional, like, but I don't think that's necessarily obtainable in this world.
Well, I think it's obtainable, but people, they oftentimes get love mixed up with lust, mixed up with their physical ideals of love. And, it's usually not unconditional. It's something attached to it when it doesn't need to be. And I kind of like his answer too on love attracts love, because I view it like this, because he did say a bit more to it, but I just summed it up. You know, it goes back to what you put out there comes back to you. And if you want love, put it out there and it will come back to you. But at the same time, what you put out there is what you're going to attract as well. For instance, if I feel that I'm no good and I'm just undeserving of a good person, and I still want to attract someone and I'm putting that energy out, well, what's going to come back to me? That same nasty energy. It's like, man, why am I with such a terrible person? Is it because I feel this way?
Right, yeah.
And I think that's where oftentimes we make our mistakes, because sometimes people, they just don't want to be lonely so much. And even if they're in a bad spot, they just don't care and they want something so badly, even though it's not the right time. They force their will. They will it to happen, but you get bad results.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
No, yeah, it's exactly like what you're exactly looking for is what you're gonna get back, and it includes the emotion that you have behind what you desire. So you're saying, "Oh, I feel lonely, so I need someone," and then you're gonna get that relationship, but you might still feel alone in that relationship or whatever it is.
Yeah, so, and I always say, like, yeah, I'll be happy with a nice, small, petite, big butt chick. That's all I need, and I'm good to go. But, of course, that's not true. She has to know how to make a hamburger. Duh.
Oh, wow.
Honestly,
Nice.
I,
I'm really deep after that, but just went to straight. Like, can she cook a hamburger?
no, but seriously, though, I think with love, people, most of the time, they don't know what they want because they don't know what it is. And they always have a string attached when in reality it's not needed. It's not needed at all. It's either there or it isn't. And people, they say, man, Melvin, you're cold for thinking like that. Like, no, I am not. It's just, why do I want to waste my time and their time? It's either there or it isn't. That simple.
Yeah.
Some people say, oh, it'll grow, but, I'm worried about that. Like, why does it need to grow? It just, if you like someone, and if you don't. Like, I don't need anything to grow. Now, something else Edgar Cayce said, I think you'll like this one. It's ideals need to come from within us, not from someone else.
Say that again.
Ideals need to come from within us and not from someone else.
What do you mean? What does he mean by that?
I interpret it as come up with your own thoughts and your own solutions and answers instead of always relying on someone else. I mean, you can, of course, use someone else as an example, but don't just go with what they're saying just to go with it.
Yeah, don't follow the crowd or don't just do what everyone else says or thinks how things should be. Formulate your own opinion.
But yeah, we need to have our own ideas. In other words, stop being followers so much. I mean, it's okay to listen. It's okay to accept and take some ideals, mix and mash them up, but you don't necessarily always have to go with the flow.
Right.
You know, sometimes it's good being that fish out of water and going the wrong way or something, you know? Like be a renegade.
Yeah. I was just saying, like, you're out here to live your own life. Why would you want to live someone else's, you know?
You know, and that's something I do like about Edgar Cayce. He has reinforced that many times, like many times. And he came up with his own ideals. I certainly don't agree with all of them, but he certainly had them, and he's left a very big influence. And you know what? Something I want to talk about that he's done is his trance. When he's doing his predictions, he would go into a trance, and he would speak in plural. So instead of using I, he would say we. What's up with that?
What do you mean, his trance?
Yeah, when he would go into a trance and he would give a prediction or something. For example, when he had laryngitis, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
he was hypnotized and he went into a trance, and they were talking to him, the hypnotist, and was asking him how he can cure his laryngitis so he could get his speaking voice back. Casey, he wouldn't say I, he would say we, like we, to get it back, we must have more blood flow to the chest and stuff. It's like, why are you saying we? Is it more than one of you in there?
Yeah. Oh my God, I love this stuff. So that's where it got really interesting to me, because his trance state is a lot like, um, in the book they have the self-hypnosis, or the talk downs for you to relax and go into a trance state. So, and I'm pretty sure that's how he did a lot of his past life readings, et cetera, et cetera. But then there's also the theory that you, as one person, have two separate, what is it like? I don't know the terminology, but it's like you have the self and the I, or the I and the ego, or whatever it is. So there's two of in one person. So I don't know if that's what he's referring to as the we. Yeah, I feel like that's my theory on that. I feel like he's channeling the self or the I. So someone's taking a back seat and the other person's talking, which is the divine mind, or however they would call it. It was in the book I just read too, and we were talking about it, but I'm not sure. I'll just call it the divine mind. So when you're in trance state and you go under that deep of a trance, that enables your subconscious, or whatever it is, to start talking. And I feel like that's probably the divine, or whatever it is. So that's probably why it refers to a we. And also, a lot of the experiences that he reminds me of a lot of Dolores Cannon, her work, and she has tons of books, and they're definitely past life regression. But when she regresses her patients, they would get to the point where they have this divine talking, and they would scan the body and tell the body what exactly needs to be worked on and what needs to be healed, and why they have the issues that they have, or why they have the sickness that they have. So if anyone's interested in that kind of aspect, Dolores Cannon has a bunch of books of all her hypnosis and past life regressions that she's ever done, which are pretty interesting and along the same lines.
Okay, yeah, she's been around for a while too. I think she's like in her mid 80s now.
Yeah, she passed away.
Oh, did she? Oh, darn, I didn't even know. When did she pass?
Yeah, I don't know what year it was. I feel like it was like 2012 or something.
Darn,
Quite a long.
I didn't even realize. Oh, man.
Yeah, she created her own method. So I feel like that's what Edgar Cayce was doing in the trance state. It's called quantum healing hypnosis or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Have you ever entered a trance yourself? I mean, would astral projection be a type of trance, or are they two completely different things?
Um, I feel like I've never been in deep trance. I've definitely been in a heavy meditative state before, and then I've also done self hypnosis, and I just fall right to sleep most of the time. So
Oh, well, I mean, I guess at least you get a good deep sleep.
yeah.
Can't beat that. Hmm. Now that's interesting. You know what? I just thought about something. If other people can astral project, would it be weird if somehow they did it and you were sleeping and they were watching you sleep?
Um, yeah, I don't think that's weird. I think that's just people traveling.
Oh no, and to take it a step further, what if they're watching you sleep, but you're astral projecting, but you're just hovering over yourself, and you're like, come on, move, darn it, move, and you're not moving, and you're looking at them, look at you sleep, but looking at you outside of your body, look at them.
Yeah, I'll be like, "What's up, dude? Like, what? Like, what do you need? What's going on?" Like, clearly this is my body, so like,
That would be
I don't
so
know, go
freaky.
home.
That would no, that would freak me out. Beginning of the show, you wanted to know, you're very curious about this. When I said that Edgar Cayce was able to contact some aliens.
Right, yeah, the entities that he was communicating to.
He claims that number one, you had to connect with the universe. Like you had to get up at a certain time and you had to meditate and get your vibrations and energies like perfectly in line. And when that happened, he was able to speak to these entities, these beings known as Arcturians. And he's quite possibly the first person to ever have contact with them. And according to him, Arcturians, they are at the peak or the highest civilization in our galaxy. And they are, not only are they extraterrestrial, but they're dimensional as well. They are on the fifth dimensional plane, according to him. And they
Hmm.
are extremely advanced, both technically and spiritually. Other people have claimed to have had contact with them, but to be honest, I'm not going to say I specialize in ETs and stuff like that, but I'm more versed in extraterrestrial things than I am other supernatural paranormal stuff, and I'm not familiar with Arcturians at all. I mean, they apparently it's extremely rare to contact them. Several people claim to have done so, but they're mysterious. We don't know jack squat about them really, except for apparently they're really advanced in the fifth dimension. They don't say they're here to help humanity. They don't say they're here to help us evolve. They're kind of just like, hey, someone's ringing. Let's answer. Hey, what's up, man? Oh, it's an Earthling. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, yeah. How you doing?
Oh, shoot. Oh, man.
Yeah, so, but being that you had your own little type of contact going on while astral projecting, who's to say, like, maybe that was an Arcturian?
No. I feel like the feeling I got was a little bit more foul. I feel like that. Yeah. I don't think they'd have foul presence.
Okay, well, that's interesting. That changes things. But how do you feel about that, though? Edgar Cayce being a believer and actually speaking about UFOs and ETs and stuff.
Yeah. I would say that that's not that far off, especially considering like just comparing it to Dolores Cannon's work.
Yeah, but
Um,
I mean, looking at his time when he was alive, he was born in 1877 and,
mhm.
he passed away in 1945. And at that time, it's like you believing in anything off of this planet, off world, it's just like it was so unheard of, I believe.
Yeah,
It,
so
it
it's super advanced for him.
Yeah, and it wasn't until War of the Worlds where people really were like, of course it was a fake thing, but people panicked and stuff. And then, of course, the Roswell incident in the 40s. And so he was very much ahead of his time.
Mm, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, did you know he communicated with you extraterrestrials? Well, of course you
No,
didn't know, or else you
I
wouldn't have
had
asked me that. What
no
kind of stupid
idea.
question? Yeah, so
Yeah, no, you told me it. Yeah, that's amazing. I'm like, I wasn't expecting that.
yeah, and like, is that something that ultimately you want to do? Have that open communication?
Um, that's a good question. I don't know, like if they help me out, I kind of like it interests me. The stories interest me and stuff like that, but I kind of feel like they think we're just like a baby race. So like, like I
Um,
feel like if
some
I talk
do.
to them,
I
they
mean,
just be like, you little earthling, you little shit. Like,
oh, look at him! Isn't this cute? He thinks he's doing something.
yeah. And then I'm gonna be like, I don't want to play with you. Like, screw you guys.
So, you know what, Nima? Tell me some interesting things about Edgar Cayce that you particularly find interesting.
Oh man. Well, I just find it what I like the most about him, or I was kind of astounded by, because a lot of the stuff I'm like, okay, okay. The trancing, the hypnosis, the past life regression, I was really familiar with a lot of it. But what stuck out for me was the fact that he had those abilities to kind of see people's auras and their colors
Mm-hmm.
at a young age. And I thought that was interesting. And I've been really interested in auras because I don't know that too much about it. And just like the energy that people radiate. And he was able to see that. So I thought that was very neat.
Okay, so, the mystique behind it all sucked you in.
Yeah. Because if he can see people's aura, I guess I was just questioning the significance of it, because when you see a person's aura, like what does that exactly mean? What does each color mean, and what can that tell you about the person? And I feel a lot of the psychics or Edgar Cayce can look at you and see your aura and your energy field, and they can prescribe you something. They can see where you're aching, and they can take it out of your aura or try and prescribe you something to make your energy better or your physical being better. And that's kind of interesting to me. Instead of going in trance, you just
You literally put on some glasses and, hey, yeah, okay, you're looking a little orange, but you're brown in the neck area here, so I'm gonna give you some castor oil. Gonna cure you right up. Let's talk about Atlantis.
oh, so I was just reaffirming that Edgar Cayce believes in Atlantis, right? Because his past life regressions consisted of people in Atlantis.
Yeah, he wasn't only believer, but he believed he was actually there, and he said that Atlantis was somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean.
Hmm.
Which I'm like, I don't know, man, because, just from a historical standpoint, it seems like it would be closer to Greece, Rome, Egypt, Spain, So, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I don't know. The mystery of Atlantis is exactly that. It's a mystery. But
Right.
but he is a major believer in that. He says that he had a past life there. He even said that Jesus, one of the many lives of Jesus, he had an incarnation in Atlantis.
Hmm.
But I think with Atlantis, and I'm including Edgar Cayce in this, people romanticize it too much. Sometimes people look at it like it was a very highly advanced civilization. And sometimes I think we need to roll it back and look at it as an ancient civilization if it did exist. And not
Right.
not necessarily, I mean, high tech for ancient society, but not necessarily laser beams and hover elevators and stuff like that, and all that jazz. But at the same time, too, Edgar Cayce also said that he believed that the first race of humans, the giants, the son of angels and human women, were home in Atlantis. And going into some extraterrestrial theory, there were supposed to be aliens who kicked it there as well.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I think I feel like I sort of believe in Atlantis. So, but yeah, I feel like a lot of stories kind of take it to the extreme. But who knows?
I'm not trying to say it doesn't exist because I'm a semi-believer. I know it's like, how can you be a semi-believer? Well, it just means that I somewhat believe in it, just not people's interpretations of it. And it also could be a 100% total story, it's there. But I always say this too, every story is based off a little bit of truth.
Exactly. Yeah, truth gets diluted.
Do you think you had a past life in Atlantis?
I don't know if I specifically did, but yeah, I feel like if we believe in the term past lives, I mean, I'm sure probably Edgar Cayce did, and Jesus too. In the Dolores Cannon recordings, a lot of people revert back to that time frame.
Wow, makes me wonder. So,
yeah, I wonder if in Edgar Cayce's readings, if he ever did a past life regression and some of them went to Atlantis.
That's a good question. I want to say yes, but I'm not 100% sure. I almost want to say yes though, because when I was doing the research and getting things together, I'm pretty sure he actually did go there, and he spoke about it about like it was around 12,000 years ago or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but don't quote me on it. I'm not 100% sure, but I just, I know he has a book. I think it's called Gateway to Atlantis, and I'm actually gonna pick that up and read it and see what's up with that.
Yeah, most of the books that I've gotten so far from him are very short reads, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, so, just get through it real quick, enjoy it, learn something. But
Mm-hmm.
the theory of Atlantis, though, why is that so popular? I mean, even back in the 1800s, why is that?
Yeah, I feel like they like the idea of a civilization that's more intelligent and more advanced. It's pretty entertaining.
I wish there were records around that said how Edgar Cayce got into the Atlantean belief. I mean, aside from the fact that he claims that he was he had a past life there, but I think it's something that triggers that. I don't think anyone just says like, oh yeah, I'm interested in this because I lived there. I think it must be some type of deeper connection than that.
Right, it must really resonate with a person.
We're going to go to the final thing here, and that is reincarnation. And Edgar Cayce, he struggled with reincarnation because it went against his Christian beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he struggled with it. He wasn't sure if he was supposed to believe in it or not. Eventually, of course, he did, but he couldn't understand how he could have it in his belief system because in Christianity, it's no reincarnation. You have one life and that's it. It's no do-overs. What are you talking about? And he just really struggled with that. And he said some controversial things, Jesus having multiple lives and him being portrayed as Egyptian priests or gods and stuff. And Edgar Cayce saying that at one point he was an Egyptian priest or not a priest, but a priest or a psychic, something there.
little sore or something.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, really, man, you're giving yourself that much importance, huh? And I'm wondering if that was a little bit of his ego at play.
What do you mean?
I mean,
Which part?
just him saying that he was a big cheese back in the day.
Oh, right. Yeah, I kind of feel like um, people would naturally go towards that. Like a lot of the people that channel, so they'll channel someone, or I'm getting this mixed up. So people are in past life, or if they were famous before, or if you're like a real famous channeler or psychic, they'll be like, oh, well, I used to be so and so in a past life. I used to be Edgar Cayce in a past life, or I used to be this person. And I kind of think it is an ego trip for them, or it's just for them to attach the name to them so they can get more popularity, so to speak.
So I mean, I don't want to take anything away from because what do I know? But at the same time, it's just like, come on, man. Like, let's be real. You were a priest, like one of the highest of authority.
But I mean,
But
whatever.
anything is possible.
Yeah.
So, do you think you had some past lives?
Definitely in the circumstance that we're I have to say, if we're believing that in past lives and reincarnation, then definitely.
Oh, okay. Tell us about some of them.
I don't know. I will say that one time, the first time that I was ever on shrooms, I felt like I had a past life and I was in Egypt. So a lot of Egyptian stuff stuck out to me. And then at that same shroom trip, I also had the feeling that when I came back into my body, like, which was a weird feeling because I was always technically I'm still in my body, but I wasn't. When I was waking up, I felt like I chose to be on Earth, and I was so pissed off because so I got that one break. So my shroom trip was me getting a break from doing this Earth thing. Like I chose to be here, and I was just so mad. I was like, man, I gotta fucking go back to Earth right now. Like, I even want to do this. Do I have to go back? Like, this kind of sucks. And I kind of got that feeling. So I'm pretty sure I had some past life somewhere else, like where I wasn't even a human. And I chose to be here, and it kind of bites.
Well, you chose poorly, so reincarnation, it's just something to think about. I think it's interesting, especially since, well, okay, to put it into perspective, on this planet, there's about 7 billion or 11 billion bones that are buried under us. Like, just people who passed away from since the planet was born. Animals, people, trees, everything. Is it possible that we were reincarnated from some of those people? It's something to think about. Before we sign off completely, Niyama, pop us with something from the Third-Eyed Mystic. Give us a Niyamaism.
You are not scared of dying. You are scared of being born again.
That is very fitting. And with that said, remember guys, there are things that go bump in the night. Don't forget to tell them hi. Bye everybody.
Bye.